You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 220. Wow, that's a big number of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my mediocre co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Raymond Gargis. How are you, Jeff?
Cool name. Nice.
I love that your middle name's Ray. I think it's so cool.
My middle name is not Ray.
But it's almost
Raymond.
It's almost Ray.
Just like your name is almost Ray.
Touche.
You kind of set me up for that one. I mean,
Man.
If for those of you listening, if you don't know, Ray's real name is actually Raymond, so it works out really perfect that that's my middle name. I'm laughing because last episode I was gorgeous, and now I'm mediocre. So it's really.
Well,
it was only like an hour ago, so I've really gone downhill tonight.
It's because last episode I was describing our host as the word. Now I'm just describing you. Oh, sorry, guest. Yes.
I'm the co-host at least.
I mess this up every time. I don't know. Whatever.
You're really bad at this whole thing.
You know what? We made it to 220 episodes, so I can't really be that bad because we still have people saying they're Team Ray over Team Jeff. So boom, mic drop.
That's true. I was going to let you know. I forgot to tell you. Last time I looked at the stats, actually, there's only 2 people that listen anymore. Like it's.
Oh.
200.
Is it my parents? Is that who listen?
Well, I think they listen, but they actually listen together. So that's one. And then Chris listens because he wants to make sure it sounds good. So.
That makes sense. We pay Chris to listen, so that makes sense.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you just started with that because Can we be super lame and just do like an update on life? I feel like here's the deal. I love our listeners. I love our Teach Better podcast family, but we don't really get to do like life updates very often. And I'm like, hey, can we just like chill for the next few minutes and just talk about life and then get into this great episode?
Yeah. So how's life? Well, you started. So today's Monday. We're recording this on Monday, the 19th, right? So today was
19th. Yeah.
Today was your first day back in school now. So you've been back with your students, but virtually. Now you're back in the classroom.
I want our listeners to know, do you see that I tried to get a life update and immediately Jeff goes, boom, education, boom, let's talk education.
No, I'm going the right way. So like that's changing everything about your life because now you're in a school for back to your 8-9 hours a day.
Yep.
Has that because even when you were virtual, you were in front of a computer for a lot of it, but it's still a little bit different. Like, is that shifting your like personal schedule now much differently? It's kind of back to what it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like I went back to February, like super weird.
How angry are the dogs?
Well, see, that's a part of the problem because I had to call up my dog walker. I have this wonderful girl who comes over to my house at lunch to let my dogs out. And I was like, hey, I haven't seen you since February. Will you come walk my dogs? Because I need. Going? Oh, yeah, she totally still is and still had a key to the house. I'm like, oh, good. I totally forgot about that. So win. And came and she's going to walk the dogs middle of the day. It's perfect. But yeah, I was not going into work. Like I had been in the building maybe twice. Like between March and today, maybe 3 times, maybe. But then today, all day. And let me tell you, remote teaching is rigorous and exhausting, but it's a different type of tired than full day teaching tired. Mm-hmm. Like today I had like first week teaching tired of just being on your feet, jumping around, walking students like through their schedule. It's just a different type of mental and physical tired. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So dogs were very sad to hear that I had to come home and podcast with you because they were like, "Whoa, we haven't seen you all day."
But how's the rest? Because I know you spent the weekend with your parents, so that's always great.
I did, yeah. I went to Chicago to see my parents. They live in the suburbs, and I grew up with actually a bunch of mom and dads. Like obviously I have my parents who I love, but very, very close family friends. So I got to see a few of them as well and kind of see some new areas. And it was a fun weekend. Did you do anything fun this weekend? I haven't really talked to you, Jeff Gargis. Like, did you have a good weekend?
I sat around pretty much all weekend wishing that I got to hang out with your mom and dad. Because they're like two of the coolest people in the world.
They are.
So we actually came, this was the whole last week and into this weekend was kind of just a weird shift in our world because as you know, my wife Amy tested positive coronavirus. She's fine. She had no symptoms. Everything's good. But she had to do 10 days of isolation. So she was essentially a prisoner in our bedroom. And the kids and I were sort of quarantined down in the basement to stay away. I was able to go up and, deliver meals and stuff. And there was some times where she was back, she kept a mask on, and Jacqueline sat outside her room, and I have some adorable pictures and stuff because the kids were missing her. But it was kind of a weird week. So it was just like, I had everything on me for the week with also taking care of her. She just couldn't do it. Like, we were just following guidelines. Luckily, she's fine. There's still no symptoms. The rest of us tested negative. Everything's cool. We still have to quarantine for a little bit. She didn't come out. So actually yesterday, Sunday was her first day out. So Friday night, Saturday was still, still with her in isolation, which is fine. Like, it sucks to be honest. But I also got a lot of kid time. I mean, I'm not going to
You did.
I got a lot of cuddles. And when they were like sad about, Jacqueline gets sad about not being able to cuddle with mommy, I'm like, well, hey, I got you, babe. Come on. Right. But so it was kind of a very low key, weekend.
That photo when she finally came out of the bedroom and the kids were like giving her big hugs. I'm like, that was the cutest photo ever.
And that was like 4 hours. Like they just sat on her. They're just like, I'm going to, and the poor dog was like, I want to sit on her too. But she couldn't, but no. So it was a relaxed weekend.
Can we clarify? Your dog is bigger than like both your children combined, right? Like, yeah. I mean, just to confirm the picture that all of our listeners have of Amy getting love from the entire family. There's some fun characters.
Stacy's a pit bull bulldog mix, and she doesn't want to sit on you. She wants to be a part of you. And she's not okay until she's a part of you. So like this, it's sometimes I'm sitting on a couch and like she comes up and she like lays on, but then she like climbs up and she's got it to where like her chest is on your face and you're just covered. And I'm sitting there. I'm always saying, I'm like, okay, so like, what's the goal here, Tasty? Like, what are we trying to accomplish right now? Because I can't even like scratch you because I'm just all right. I guess I'll just pet you. But yes, she was like that too. So it was kind of a calm weekend. I did have fun. This is weird and this is totally lame, I guess, but I flipped a few things on eBay recently in the last 2 weeks, which has been fun. Really? So I was like, yeah, which was made it hard because I wasn't allowed to go out and ship them. So I had to write notes and get them called off, whatever. But yeah, like old action figures that that my mom gave me from my own as a childhood that I never opened because I think I probably have like a double, something like that. This one of something, it's a old show called Toxic Adventures. Probably no one ever even heard of them. I don't even remember it. I thought the guy made $50 on this after expense. And everything, $51 on this thing. And I just flipped started in lineup. So like I'm having some fun on eBay. So that was exciting, I guess, for my week.
That sounds like the oldest. That's like the oldest comment ever. Like I flipped some stuff on eBay. Like is eBay even around right now? Are we like totally judging Jeff?
eBay's huge. What are you kidding, man?
I never go on eBay.
I never do anyway, except for that. Like when I'm like, oh, I got that, I'm gonna do that. I did do some. So I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. Gary V. He does a lot of flipping. That's just how he used to make money. He does a lot with sports cards. So I did some dabble into that. And actually over the last 12, 18 months, I've done some buy a sports card for someone who doesn't know any better and flipped it and sold it for a decent amount of money. So little things like that's fun. But so that was excitement. I mean, that's literally the level of excitement we've had at the Gargis house recently. So
well, and I do have to say, we did start our weekends together because we did a team Zoom call Friday night, and that was like kind of fun. That we ended our week, started our weekend, bringing like the team together, which was cool to just see everybody on the Zoom call. We don't get to do that very often, guys. Like
no, we don't.
Like ever. Like we text and we talk and we do phone calls and Zoom calls with appropriate people who need to be in certain meetings, but like the whole group, we never get to see them.
You're one-on-one or like 3 or 4 people or whatever, but yeah, and there's some people like just if you don't cross paths because of the role on a team, you talk to less and less, like, right. And like I was talking to Chad like loves this thing because like he doesn't cross paths because a lot of times he's like in a training or whatever. You and I get to talk a lot more because we do the podcast and the marketing stuff, but like, it's really cool to bring everyone together because not everyone's in on those conversations. And then we get to kind of like, it was fun. It was a blast and we had, I think we had like 2 or 3 people that couldn't make it. So that was pretty good with all the schedules we have.
Oh my God. With all those schedules.
Lots of laughter, a little bit of ridiculousness. It was good.
Just a smidgen. A little bit of drinking. It was fine. But I will just say, like, getting everybody together on the same day was like the hardest thing ever. This was booked months and months in advance. But the fact that we all were able to come together was just cool. Like, because everybody's doing different things. And we all, like, for our listeners, if you kind of can think of like your family group chat that you always have, where there's always someone mentioning something, sharing a picture, like, we have a chat like that in our program called Basecamp. So that chat, like, you do see each other's interactions every so often throughout the week. But you're right. Like, coming together, we hang out for like over an hour and a half, just
it was
chilling. So
yeah, it's. I'm excited for the next one. Those are fun to do. We need to do more. We always say that. It's really hard to get that many schedules together.
I know, and actually, it's funny because in this episode, one of the advice pieces that she gives is about getting together with friends. And I didn't think about that till right now, but like, our team needs to do that because we just like each other, and it's just fun to work with people you like, but it's also fun to just hang out with people you like.
Yeah, with zero agenda, just kind of, hey, we're connected and hanging out. So yeah, it really is fun. I was thinking one of the reasons it's tough is actually one of the cool reasons that we actually have team members from literally coast to coast.
Yes.
So we got team member, Becky Dawes is in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And then you got Hans and Jennifer out in Washington and Livia up in BC. And then you got a whole bunch of us in the middle area, in Ohio, Michigan, Illinois and stuff. So like
Texas.
In Texas. Yeah. So like we're all over the place. So multiple time zones to work with, which is a lot of fun. But.
And most of them have a role in education outside of the Teach Better team. So it's not like everyone's full-time Teach Better Nation, like day in, day out, working these hourly jobs. But like, we have teachers, counselors, administrators, like all across the board. And so trying to manage those schedules, it's a joke, guys. You know it. We all do it with our families and with our friends. But it's funny.
You have all these incredible educators who are incredibly busy and have so much on their plate. And then you have Jeff. And it's just like.
You have a dog.
Yeah, I have a dog. I got a
wife. 2 cute kids. I don't know.
The kids are doing awesome in school, by the way.
Wait, so before we transition out of this, will you tell me, what are your kids' like schooling situations? Because you've not talked about that, I don't think, on the podcast.
Yes, they're 100% virtual. We got to choose. So they have 2 different plans. You could go either, it was originally supposed to be 5 days back with social distance, and now it's on an AB schedule because of our county level case count and stuff. Or you could choose to go 100% virtual, and you chose for the first half of the year, and then we'll get to choose again over whatever. We chose 100% virtual. My daughter, Jacqueline, who's in first grade, has high anxiety and a lot of worries. So we didn't think the idea of going and then things change and stuff like that was going to be good. So we decided to stay virtual. Jonathan would have been good either way. He's in third. He'd been fine, but we figured keep him the same. So we've got, stuff set up here for him. They're doing really well. Their teachers have done a phenomenal job, I think, of not only preparing for it before the start of the school, but also like this week they really started rolling out the 9 weeks wrapped and they started rolling out like, hey, here's what I learned. Here's what I think is going to be better. And so they're adjusting stuff. And I really like seeing that. But so far they're doing well.
So
I just kind of breezes through everything. Jacqueline still needs a little more attention because she's still learning how to read and stuff like that. But she's really growing. It's really cool. I really enjoy the fact like sitting there and watching the mind work as they're going, because you don't always get to do that with your kids because they're doing that a lot at school. And it's a different type of when you're just like exploring at home. So it's been fun for me personally. So.
That's so fun. I'm so glad. No, I love your kids. I'm so glad that it seems like the remote model was really what fit them the best.
Yes.
And so many parents had to make that choice, right? It was the difference of, are we just going to be flexible and it could change in an instant, which was kind of like this hybrid go back to school, we'll see what happens model, or have some consistency, be able to do the luxury of having remote.
Was consistency. And for me, it was also really important that if we did virtual, that it was with the teachers, not through like a program. And I was really happy that our district did that.
Yeah.
They've done a nice job. So, and the music teacher has done a great, he put in dude must have put in some serious hours with all the videos he did, and he's a great teacher anyway. But so it's been really good. So it's been fun. You know, they're down here like they have their headphones on, but they're like singing along and stuff, and it's awesome. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. They kind of took over part of my office, but it is what it is. So.
Well, I do want to get to this episode, but before we transition,
we're doing an episode too.
Well, you know, there's a cool person that we just come on. There's
the whole time.
Oh, we do love your kids. However, I do want to say, like, for our listeners, we just gave them kind of like a life update. Yeah. What's like upcoming for you? Like anything exciting within the next like weekend plans? Like nothing big. I know you don't have anything like huge on the horizons, but what are you looking forward to within the next like 6 days that you're doing?
Honestly, I'm really pumped up right now about coaching. Yeah. So we just launched our connected coaching, and I'm fortunate enough to be one of the ones that's doing a tier 3, like, which is the one-on-one. And I had another meeting today with one of my one of the folks that I'm working with, and I'm super pumped about that. I'm really excited about that. In our personal life, I think I'm just really excited about getting out of quarantine and having Amy back in. So probably plan some. I think maybe I'm like maybe planning maybe like a rib dinner this weekend or something like that to like celebrate the family. We'll see, because we haven't really left the house in about 14 days, so nothing too crazy. So what about you? Do you have anything coming up that you're like? I mean, just party with your parents. So, like, I mean,
you know, it sounds lame. You guys will understand this because this is like pretty simple. But, you know, I had a really busy weekend and I have a really busy week. I'm so excited to just completely embrace the chaos of this week. But then also I have a quiet weekend coming up, and I'm kind of excited to like disappear for a little bit and take a quiet weekend.
That's really great, because you need that. I just completely forgot, because I lost track of time. Actually, we do have they're doing a very nice job, I think, with the social distancing, but we have a wedding to go to, and is literally my oldest friend in the entire world. I've known him longer than anyone else in my entire life. We don't see each other a whole lot anymore because different worlds and stuff like that. But he's getting married and super excited. We're going to go. It's kind of like a in your car kind of experience that they're doing, but it's going to be super fun. So that's fun. But it's going to be a lot shorter than your typical wedding experience. So it's not really like a whole weekend thing or anything like that. But, you know, be fun. So, all right, let's talk about this episode. So Jenny Pieratt she's really fun. I'm thinking about her tie-dye shirt now. But so she's an educator, but she actually started something called Craft Ed Curriculum, which she works with teachers in districts on primarily around creating and building PBL, not just units, but sort of a PBL culture, I guess is a good way of putting it. And she considers herself a coach and educator in that sense, but now working with teachers. I really enjoyed, like you mentioned, one of her stories or her recommendations for piece of advice, which you already follow really well, which is great. But I really enjoyed her stories about where she is now and why she is where she is, and kind of what the path that she's taken to be there. We also give away one of her books, which is really cool. She's done a lot of writing, a lot of really cool programs and resources for you. Anything that stood out other than the advice? I know we already mentioned that, but
yeah, I mean, so many things. This is an episode that I really hope you guys don't just consume this information, but really like go out and go see what's out there. She has a lot that she shared, and I love when we not only enjoy, obviously, a great podcast episode, but also then take action to be better because of it. So definitely go take that out.
All right. With that, let's get into episode 220 with Jenny Pieratt.
Hey, everyone. I am so glad that you're enjoying the episode so far. And I just want to give a quick shout out to all the speakers, a part of the Teach Better Speakers Network. Our Speakers Network is continuously growing to offer all of our network the most diverse lineup of educators humanly possible to serve your needs, whether it be in the classroom or just coaching your coaches. You can see the full list of the speakers, a part of the Teach Better Speakers Network, at teachbetter.com/speakers network. We so appreciate these amazing educators who continue to share their insights. And it's a great spot to head over to if you are looking to connect with other educators and or bring someone in with your staff to motivate and talk about best practices. Head over to teachbetter.com/speakers network for the full list. Let's get back to the episode.
All right. We are here. We are chatting with Jenny Pieratt. And Jenny, so excited to have you on. Excited to talk to you, learn more about you, and just dive into your journey a little bit tonight. But before we get too far into things, how are you feeling right now?
I'm good. I'm rocking a tie-dye shirt. I mean, how could you not feel good in a tie-dye shirt?
How could you not feel good in tie-dye? Like, really? Like, and it's like a brighter tie. Like, it's a good tie-dye. Like, you know.
My husband asked me this morning, he's like, did you make that shirt? I was like, no, I did not. I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that you just asked me that, but no, I didn't.
I think everybody listening, listening needs to go wear tie-dye tomorrow. That's your homework.
Like, how could you not smile in tie-dye? I mean,
it's hard not to. Now, was he asking because he was like, man, that shirt is so awesome, you had to have made it?
I'm not sure. That's the follow-up question. I'm not. I just kind of let it lie. I was like, I don't know.
Maybe best not to know. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jenny, I want to make sure that while I'm confident our listeners are all like going through their drawers right now, trying to find their best tie-dye to wear for tomorrow, I want them to get to know you personally as well outside of your clothing choices. So would you mind kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, kind of answering that age-old question of like, hey, Jenny, what do you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, I definitely still self-identify as a teacher. So I started out in the classroom. I've taught grades 5 through 10. And just, I love designing projects. Like, it really is my favorite thing to do. And I was in the classroom and kind of felt like it was time for me to spread my wings. So I took a position working for New Tech Network, which is a national organization that, provided me the opportunity to support teachers in their designing of project-based learning and implementation. So I did that work for a little over 3 years, and then ended up starting my own company, Crafted Curriculum, in 2016. And so that's kind of become my third baby. I also should say I definitely still self-identify as a mother. It should probably come before being a teacher, although for me it's often one and the same. Right now it really is one and the same because we just started homeschooling 2 weeks ago. But yeah, so I have a fourth and a fifth grader, and they're getting to reap all the rewards of my blood, sweat, and tears that I've put into a career in project-based learning, supporting teachers across the country, actually internationally. I've written several books on the topic. I've blogged a ton about it. I like to speak about it. I mean, I'm just so excited to be here and geek out about it with you both. So thanks for having me.
So let's jump right into Crafted Curriculum. So can you just, what do you do? Like, what are you doing with the people that you work with? Are you working with individuals, with schools, with both? Like, kind of what can we find there?
Yeah, I really pride myself on staying in the trenches and really listening to where teachers are and what they need. And right now that's especially important. And my work looks different everywhere I do the work. So, it could be with an individual teacher. It could be with an individual school. It could be with an entire district. It could be, at a conference. It really does look different everywhere the work happens. And obviously right now the shift has been to virtual learning. For me, that wasn't a huge shift just because I had come from, working in an organization that was a national company. So I was really comfortable doing the virtual support. But I think schools and districts are now starting to get more comfortable with what that could look like. So, it really looks like me just holding a teacher's hand through the designing phases of planning a project. And I love when I get to stick around when schools will ask me to really develop a relationship with them, and they'll let me be around for, say, a year or two. In some places, I've been there 3 years, and it's been great because I get to hold their hand not only through the first project, but the second, the third project, exhibiting the project, kind of reflecting and refining on that project. So it's just about being a partner in the work with teachers as they design really meaningful experiences for kids. And that could look, very different right now, or depending on where their school setting is and what their kids need.
I love it. And that really is one of my favorite parts about, what we do work with schools when you're working across multiple years, because you kind of get to see it grow, right? It grow and take its own shape within that very specific school and those specific classrooms. So that's really cool. Let's talk about the books. You mentioned a couple of different books. I know of one. How many altogether do we have?
Well, it's like two and a half and a quarter. So I've got Keep It Real with PBL, and I have an elementary version and I have a secondary version. Same planning framework, but obviously it looks different for, say, like a first grade classroom than a 10th grade classroom. So obviously there's two versions of the book. And then we created an on your feet guide for planning and assessing projects. So it takes everything that you need to remember from the book related to assessment and adds a few things. in a much more digestible format. And then I came out with an ebook for the all of the books, really, which focuses on implementation for virtual and hybrid settings. So it's like a solid 2 books with like this guide and then an ebook. So I don't know what the math is on that, but that's where I'm at.
2.5 sounds good. I think you're on. That's good. We'll go with that, which is awesome. And you're being super awesome and actually going to give away a copy of a book here later on in the episode. So we're going to do that. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be exciting. I want to get into, someone who's had a variety of different, roles and experience in this world. I love asking these type of questions for someone, especially like someone who's got like the business going. You've been going at it for about 4 years now. And this is talking about failure and about what we can learn from that and learn from the struggle and overcoming those challenges and those failures. So can you take us with you? Tell us a story about a time you've had a failure. Kind of take us there with you. What happened? How did you overcome that? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, I'd agree. Failure just makes all the rewards so much sweeter when things work themselves out. And I will say that I'm in the process of, I don't know if failure is the right word. COVID was just, when schools closed, it was like my world shut down. That was, I love being in the trenches with teachers, and it was heartbreaking, and it was such a huge identity shift for me, because it was like, well, what do I do if I can't work, and if I can't do what I'm really passionate about? So just like everyone else in the world, I had to try to figure out how to stay relevant. And that was really tough when I couldn't be shoulder to shoulder working with a teacher. So I had to find new ways to listen. And for me, my go-to is Twitter. Like I just knew that was where teachers felt really raw and comfortable and vulnerable, expressing where they were at and what they needed and what they were looking for. So I really just took to Twitter. I've always been connected on Twitter, but especially so during this time, and just tried to listen. And I think kind of listen my way through the failure and stumbling through that. And then just trying to figure out how to just remain relevant. So I'm mid-process. Like I would not say that I've come out the other side and I've arrived by any means. But I think the initial kind of gut punch and that feeling of failure when you feel like your business just got dumped upside down and having to rebuild, I think, now that I'm in month 7, I've ridden the wave a few times now with it. So I'm learning to kind of ebb and flow with the process.
So now let's flip that. Let's talk about a successful moment that you've had. This can be something big or something small, but kind of take us there with you. What happened? Why was it a success for you? And then what'd you take away from that experience?
Yeah, I really am so proud of my book. And I call it my third baby, and it's kind of a joke. Not really though, because I think the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into publishing that thing, unless someone's published a book, you kind of can't really understand what goes into it. And I think when I finally got to see it in print, it was one of the best feelings I've ever had. We celebrated, and we had a fun little book launch party with our friends and family. And it was just really cool to see it, just because I knew how much had gone into it. And it really was a compilation of my life's work. My PhD is in education, but I focused on project-based learning and in the classroom as a PBL teacher. And when I worked for these other companies, it was about supporting teachers with PBL. But I had to come into my own through that whole process. And this book is really about finding my own voice in that process. And even in the title, one of my best friends, I was struggling with, what do I call this? And she was like, man, just keep it real. That's you. You have your own flavor. You've got your own kind of take on it. Just be real about it. And I was like, that's it. That's the title. So it really was kind of my coming into who I am and finding my voice too throughout the process. So it was a lot of things wrapped up in a bow.
Oh, so exciting. I love that. And I'm so glad that you're so passionate about something that you're able to then put together and then share with others. I mean, that's awesome. I have to know, with obviously everything that you've been doing, if you had to pinpoint the one thing, and this is such a trick question because it's never one, but the one thing that's keeping you excited about education, really kind of fueling your fire and everything that you're doing, what would you identify that as?
I think engagement or passion. As a parent, I come back to this a lot. What's the one thing that I hope my kids, take away in life. And I just hope they're passionate, and I hope whatever it is, I don't really care what it is. I just want them to be passionate, because there's so much goodness that comes from when you're really passionate about things. And I think right now, as hard as the school setting is, whatever that might be, fill in the blank for wherever you are, I'm seeing pockets of where people are feeling like now's the time for them to try project-based learning. And I'm so excited when I hear those little tiny success stories, and even seeing it, now that I mentioned I'm homeschooling my kids as of 2 weeks ago, getting back to PBL with them has been like the coolest thing ever. Cause it's like, you can see they want to talk about what they're learning about, and they want to go out and make connections to what that is in the real world. And I feel like we've lost so much of that just being stuck behind a screen and being stuck inside in our homes. So I'm excited about that. And everybody might not be there right now, but I know that they'll get there when the time works for them.
Well, and I love your tidbit there of this is really a great time to try project-based learning. PBL has so many pros for students' growth and their excitement for learning. And so while all educators seem to continuously be trying something new, as you're choosing the right new elements to bring into your classroom, PBL is such a wonderful choice. And, everybody gets started with it differently and at a different pace, and that's okay. So just start looking into it. And that's a step in the right direction too, because it really is doing wonderful things for our students. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I know that even on a good day, like in January, before all this hit, it was a big lift for teachers, and it could feel really intimidating. And I know that especially so given all the constraints that we're working up against right now. And that's really where my new framework has come into play, PBL Lite, which is what the ebook is about. And it's about still keeping the rigor of what PBL is and the core of it, but making it adaptable so that it's manageable. Maybe it's doing a project over 2 weeks rather than 6 weeks, and only focusing on one content area instead of 5 content areas, making it an individual project rather than collaborative. I mean, it's like, how do we meet where we need to be and kind of get that engagement in 21st century learning going again for kids? And if that means that we got to scale it back, then let's do it. But like you said, just start the journey, like wherever that may be and wherever that may lead you.
Absolutely. So if you had to give one piece of advice, whether it's a teacher who's listening, who's brand new to the classroom, or somebody who's just continuously striving to be better and enhance their craft, what would be your piece of advice for educators?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I can't stress enough the importance of reflection. And I think it's true for life in general. But I remember when I was at High Tech High, we used to do our hiring process. We call it a bonanza, but it really was like the gauntlet, man. It was a gnarly 8-hour experience of trying to find the right fit for, a teacher to work at that school. And at the end of the day, it was like when we were trying to figure out who would be the right fit for joining the staff, it was like their ability to reflect. I always came back to, because no one ever arrives. Right. And so it's like, you have to be really comfortable saying, okay, how did that go? How can I make it better? What do I need to do different tomorrow? And tied up in that is the ability to ask, how do you think it went? Like, what do you need? And how might I get better? And like, how can you help me improve? There's so much tied up in that ability to reflect. And that to me is where growth happens. And I think that's the most important piece in teaching. Is it's not about growing other people, it's about growing yourself too, and growing alongside them in the process. So I don't know, for me, the reflection piece is kind of the end all be all.
I love that. I agree so much. I mean, it goes so far beyond just, our work and just into life in general, that reflection and ability to look inside and reflect on what you're doing well, what you're not doing as well, and trying to grow. That's what gets us from here to where we're trying to get to. So I love that. Let's give away a book. Let's do that. So if you want a copy of the book, you need to tweet out. You need to make sure you tag at Teach Better Team and then at crafted_Jenny P. I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right. And then hashtag Teach Better. Make sure that we see it there. Here's what we got to look. Tell Jenny why you're excited about PBL. And tweet that out at us, and we're going to pick someone randomly and throw you a book. So do that. You can stop right now and do that really quick and then come back, or just wait. We're going to go into the next 6 questions here. Jenny, your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
It's going to be hard. I'm so chatty. I will do my best.
All right, here we go. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Canva, for sure. My whole life exists in Canva.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
Well, I'm never reading one. I'm reading several. So I'll make this really fast because I only have 15 seconds. I'm reading the new Twilight series book. I know, judge me all you want. I'm reading The Giver with my daughter right now and Restart by Gordon Corman, both with my kiddos.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
I would definitely say Cult of Pedagogy. Everything she touches is golden. And the PBL chat hashtag. And if you're around Tuesday nights at 6:30 my time, Pacific time, there's a great chat that you could be a part of.
What's a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast for educators to check out?
I also cannot live without Newsella, so I would say that one. And there's a free version too.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Hanging out with your friends outside of work.
Ooh,
sounds silly, but as I get older, I feel like I have less and less time for that. So gotta keep making time for that.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I need to follow it more, so I'll just preface it with that. But give yourself grace.
There you go. Give yourself grace. I really like the suggestion of hanging out with your friends more often.
I was thinking about you on that one, Ray.
I know this is super dorky, but like I have been putting that into my own life as a practice that I'm really trying to hold true to. And Jeff, you have to admit, I have been so good being like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I am hanging out with the girls or something. And oh my gosh, Jen, you'd be so proud of me.
I'm actually proud. It's an easy thing to bump when you think about it in the realm of like.
It's like the first thing to bump. I mean, that
which is not how it should be.
Right. That and working out. I mean, I legitimately have to schedule both those things, like a happy hour with friends and my workouts every day. Because if I don't schedule it, I'm like, well, it's not on the calendar. It's not happening.
So, Jenny, do you have like a specific day that you go out with the girls, or just like, okay, I try and do it once a month, once a week? Like, where are you at in that whole process?
I've had to pick a night because just for my husband and because my kids have a crazy sports schedule. So it's kind of the easiest night for taxiing. So Thursday night's my night. And it's just kind of like a standing, and my husband knows he's on dad duty and I'm out.
I love it. So for our listeners, I do Wednesday nights. So those are both days that are serving us very well. So choose Wednesday or Thursday. Go schedule time with your friends. I love that. I don't think that we've had somebody give that suggestion, and it's so important. So it only took 220 episodes for someone to tell us to go get a life and hang out with our friends. I don't know.
It sounds so basic, but it's true. I don't do it enough. So I'm going on week 4 now. I've really committed to it. So it's been good.
I love it. So for those of you right now, I know you've had a lot of things that you were told to do in this podcast, so like between tweeting and sharing and whatever. We also want you to tweet out your commitment to take a night off and go hang out with your friends. So make sure to tag us for that as well. That will be really fun. Jenny, before we get going, I do want to make sure that all of our listeners can stay connected with you, the work you're doing, and obviously tweet at you to share that they are taking a girls' night and they want to celebrate that they're taking a girls' night. So would you mind sharing how people can stay connected?
Yeah, the best way is definitely through social media on Twitter. As you mentioned before, I'm crafted_Jenny P. And also my website, craftedcurriculum.com. I really try to keep up to date, and I blog pretty frequently. And like I mentioned before, I really pride myself on staying in the trenches. So I try to give like practical resources, whether it be sample projects or my favorite virtual teaching protocols. It's all about where we're at right now and what teachers seem to need at the moment.
Awesome. And you can find all the links, all the resources, everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the really important links for connecting with Jenny and keep the conversation going. So head over to the show notes over there as soon as you can. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and share this podcast with them. Jenny, this was fantastic. I'm so excited for people to get to know you, to connect with you, continue learning from you. There's so much value in this episode. I'm really excited for people to listen to it. Really, really appreciate you taking some time out of your day and hanging out with us and having some fun with us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you both for having me.
Until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.